Right now, the entire world is in an AI gold rush. Seriously, every country is scrambling to stake its claim. But what does it actually take to get AI ready? Well, today, we're going to find out by looking at a really fascinating and maybe unexpected player, Mongolia. So, how does a nation get ready for the age of AI? I mean, that's the big question every single government is asking itself right now. And, getting it right isn't just about having cool tech. It's about building the right infrastructure, nurturing talent, and having a super clear national vision. For any country that wants a seat at the table, getting this right is, well, it's everything. And make no mistake, this is a global race against time. It's an incredibly high-stakes game. The thirst for AI is just so intense that it's pushing our global infrastructure, things like supply chains and energy grids, right to their absolute limits. Okay, so with that global scramble as our backdrop, let's zoom in. Today, we're looking at the plan for one emerging player, Mongolia. Why Mongolia? Well, its journey gives us this unique window into the specific challenges and maybe some surprising opportunities that an emerging economy faces when it decides to jump into the AI arena. All right, Section 1, the global AI gold rush. First, let's just set the stage here because it's so important to understand why every country is racing to get AI ready. Look, we are not talking about some passing trend. This is a fundamental economic shift. The demand for AI capability is just exploding, and it's completely reshaping priorities for, well, everyone, companies and countries alike. Just look at this number, 75%. Think about that for a second. 3/4 of all new data centers being built are designed specifically for AI. That's staggering. It means we are fundamentally rebuilding the entire backbone of our digital world, and we're doing it with AI as the brand new centerpiece. But here's the kicker, the real bottleneck. It's not the raw computing power, it's actual power. We're talking electricity. A 2025 report from Turner & Townsend says power availability has become the biggest single challenge for this whole data center boom. So the AI race? Turns out it's just as much about energy resources as it is about algorithms. Okay, so that brings us to Mongolia's AI readiness report. This is where we look at the nation's big ambitions versus a pretty stark diagnosis. Our guide for this is a really comprehensive assessment from the UN Development Program. And what it reveals is a country with huge ambition, but one that's also gotten a very, very honest look in the mirror about where it stands today. And believe me, the ambitions are massive. We're talking about Mongolia's big goals here. The government isn't thinking small at all. They see AI as the key to transforming their entire society, from healthcare and education to their super important mining sector and even public services. The vision, it's absolutely there. But then you see the data. The reality check. This UNDP readiness score shows a really critical gap. Just look at skills. Mongolia scores a 1.9 out of 5. The report calls this the opportunistic stage, which, let's be honest, is a very polite way of saying they're right at the beginning of building the human talent they're going to need. So that brings us to the core of the issue, a critical skills gap. This is the #1 hurdle on their path to an AI future. It's the single biggest obstacle standing between Mongolia's grand vision and its current reality. So let's break down what that actually looks like. Okay, check out this number, 77.3%. This is powerful because it's an admission from inside the government. More than 3/4 of Mongolian officials believe their own government lacks the advanced technical skills to build useful AI tools. Wow, that is a stunningly frank self-assessment. So you might be asking, what's causing this gap? Well, a huge part of the answer is right here on this chart. It shows the lack of training opportunities. When public servants were asked if they had access to training for things like data science or machine learning, a whopping 70.9% said no. It's pretty simple, right? You can't build a skilled workforce if you don't give people the chance to learn. And really, it all boils down to this one simple truth. The challenge is crystal clear. Without skilled people, even the best strategy in the world can't be executed. You can have the best plan, the biggest vision, but without the folks on the ground who can actually do the work, it just stays a plan on paper. All right, let's pull the camera back a bit, the view from abroad, because this whole race isn't happening in a vacuum, right? To really get a handle on Mongolia's position, you have to look at its neighborhood, which just happens to be one of the most dynamic and competitive tech regions on the entire planet. Just take a look at this direct comparison with its neighbor, Kazakhstan. It really puts things in perspective. A recent report found that 32%, almost a third of companies in Kazakhstan are already considered AI leaders. Meanwhile, Mongolia's government ranks 100th in the world for AI readiness. That's a huge, huge gap. And this table gives you a quick snapshot of the whole region. You've got the giants like China and South Korea way up at the top, which, no surprise there. But the key takeaway for me is that even when you compare Mongolia to other developing economies like Kazakhstan and the Philippines, it's lagging pretty significantly. The climb ahead it's steep. But, a tough starting position doesn't mean the race is over. Not at all. In fact, what's promising is that Mongolia seems to have a really clear-eyed view of the problem, and now it's focused on the solution. So let's look at the roadmap they've designed to start forging that AI future and closing the gap. Okay, so here's the official 4-step recommendation from that UNDP report. It's a really clear roadmap. Step 1, finalize the strategy. Basically, turn the national plan for big data and AI into a real funded action plan. 2, establish a central body to coordinate everything so people aren't working in silos. 3, and this is the big one, invest in people. Prioritize developing and keeping AI talent. And finally, 4, institutionalize ethics. Build those frameworks with clear oversight right from the get-go. And the good news here, action is already underway. These recommendations aren't just, sitting on a shelf collecting dust. The wheels are already turning, and Mongolia is starting to make some real concrete moves. Here's a great example. In a direct response to that skills gap we talked about, the government has launched a 3-year AI and big data skills development program, and they're doing it in collaboration with a tech giant, Oracle. This is exactly the kind of public-private partnership that can build talent fast. And it's not just top-down, the commitment is also coming from the ground up. The dean of the Mongolian University of Science and Technology said, "We are dedicated to educating the next generation who possess expertise in artificial intelligence." This shows they're thinking long-term about building a sustainable, homegrown pipeline of talent. So, where does that leave us? Mongolia has identified the problem, it has a clear roadmap, and it's already taking action. The strategy seems sound, but the one question that hangs over everything is speed. In a global AI race that's moving at an absolutely exponential pace, can it execute its plan fast enough to catch up in time? That, right there, is the challenge that's going to define its entire AI future.